for our first topic, I felt like this was an extremely important topic to discuss because we're talking about the stimulus package, of course, but there's another layer to this, which is how it is being sold to us. Now, under Trump, it was never good enough. And then like for the progressives, it was never good enough on the floor. They voted for it. Hell, AOC even defended her vote eventually for the second one. But now that Biden is in, it's time to do what? Let's ignore the Democrats that screwed us over. Let's pretend like Biden can do a lot of this stuff himself if he wanted to, and couldn't use his leverage to get whatever he wanted in that stimulus package. Because House, Senate, White House, let's pretend like y'all didn't promise us 2,000, but instead have given us 1,400. And by the way, y'all not all you're getting it. So that's going to be fun. And finally, how they will use progressives to sell us this lie that this stimulus is somehow different and or better than the last stimulus when it is actually worse. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This stimulus is worse than the one that was given to us under Trump and signed by Trump, and if I'm not mistaken, passed by Senate Republicans. So first we're going to look at Bernie Sanders deciding it was a good idea to cape for the establishment. Y'all, just breathe, y'all. Just breathe. We're going to get through this.
Anderson, in my view, this is the most significant legislation for working people that has been passed in decades.
What? Hold up. I want to make sure I heard that correctly, too. I know some of y'all probably like, what? No, that don't make no sense. I know he didn't just say that. So
Anderson, in my view, this is the most significant legislation for working people that has been passed in decades. And what this legislation is about is looking out around our country in the midst of this terrible pandemic, the economic decline, the fact that our education of our kids has been disrupted, that people are facing eviction, families are facing hunger. We've looked at all of these issues and we said, what can we do? And I think what shocks many in the establishment, and certainly my Republican colleagues, is that we wrote a bill to address the crises facing working families and the middle class and low income people, and not the wealthy and large corporations and their lobbyists. So this bill is enormously significant.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Whose man is this, B?
It's tripping.
Bro. He literally just looked y'all dead in your face and said, this bill isn't for the corporations. It's for the working class. Okay, let's just go. I'm gonna ask Bernie this, and I'm gonna ask his sycophants at this point, because you have to be a sycophant this video should be viral. He should be getting dragged for this. So you have to be a sycophant. So now I'm gonna ask him this. So the $1,400, not everybody is getting. Okay, all right. The unemployment the extra unemployment, I should say, is being lowered. Okay. They're even taxing the previous unemployment apparently now. Okay. So I do some math in my little pea brain. I'm not that smart, guys, but I do a little bit of math every now and then. And I start doing the math on the numbers, and then I realize something. That don't add up to over $1 trillion. So if all the money isn't going to us, all the money isn't going to people who are unemployed, who were once employed, who's getting the rest of the money? That's what I'm trying to understand. And if you all have been able to find a copy of this piece of legislation, I would really appreciate if you can provide it to me, because what it looks like is that we are seeing the same type of shenanigan and antics done under Biden, that are being done under Biden and the Democrats that we saw under Trump and Republicans, which is, let's tell everybody what's in the bill and we'll talk about it. Hopefully you will believe us. And then when the bill hits the floor, which is when most senators and Congress people will see it for the first time, let's pretend like we didn't know how horrible it's going to be. So, Mr. Chairman of the Budget Committee, why are you not talking about everything that's in the bill? Because before, maybe I could have been a little bit lenient on you. Maybe I could have been like, maybe Burton didn't get a chance to get it because maybe the establishment was holding the bill from him. Yeah, except for you're the chairman now of the Budget Committee specifically. What else is in the bill, Bernie? Please give me an explanation for, you know what? Let's talk about what's in that bill. Just what we know so far. This is a $2 trillion stimulus bill, and it's heading back to the House for final approval. Final approval after it was approved in the Senate by Democrats that promised you $2,000. I can't stress that enough. They promised you $2,000. Couldn't even give you that. Oh, and I do have to say this too. In Bernie's Facebook post, which is disingenuous as hell, this man goes on there and says, we increased the checks to $1,400. That's what he said. We boosted them. No, you reduced it from 2,000 because that's what you said you were going to give us. But okay. The article says that the nearly $2 trillion stimulus bill is heading back to the House for final approval. The COVID-19 relief package, which includes $1,400 stimulus checks and more money for unemployed workers, cleared a major hurdle on Saturday with a narrow Senate passage. After the House receives and agrees to the bill, it will head to President Joe Biden to sign, hitting a March 14th deadline the Democrats have aimed toward for months. So they probably won't hit that because we all know Democrats don't hit headlines. They don't keep promises. So anyway, the Senate made a number of amendments to the bill that will affect how much of the $1,400 you could receive by reducing income limits for the third stimulus check. Now, by reducing income limits, they don't mean, oh, you mean we're reducing the limitations on income for you? Nope. In other words, it makes it more difficult for you to get the check now. And I can almost guarantee the checks will not go out until after you file your new taxes. So some people will file and they may have made, however much, maybe you made $60,000 this year, except for your normal income is $120,000 and you're about to go bankrupt and you're about to lose your house and your family's had to drop out, or your kids had to drop out of college. I feel like you could probably use that full $1,400. But they don't care about stuff like that because it's means tested. The article says that the changes will exclude millions of people from qualifying for the new payment. So there you go. Lawmakers also lowered the weekly unemployment insurance rate from the initial House version, but left alone expanded child tax credits to lower income families and funding for COVID-19 vaccine distribution. Of course, we also know that the Senate dropped the federal minimum wage increase from the legislation, but proponents vow to reintroduce it at a later date. I bet they do vow to reintroduce it at a later date. They always vow to reintroduce it at a later date. I don't know how many later dates there can be. Good God almighty. Emblem Fate, thank you very much for the super ray over on Rockfin. Y'all don't forget to like and share this video, by the way. I think electoralism is a waste of time for now. In 2016, Assange revealed our elections are rigged. The media admitted it and then ignored it. We need a movement to destroy the propaganda complex, and then election reform, and then electoralism. It's hard to argue with that. That's what we spend all day trying to do. Shout out to people who came from YouTube to Rockfin. Hey, Carlin! What's going on? I know, watching this happen to Bernie is sad as shit. It's so sad, bro. It's so sad. Bethlehem, thank you for the super ray. Appreciate you. Why is he doing this? Just disappear? What a disgrace. I know, like, it's crazy because you're talking about a guy who could have probably went down in history for this type of progressivism that he had been responsible, the progressive energy that he was responsible for creating. And all he had to do was just not sell out. And even if you, not saying even if you was going to sell out, maybe not do it at a time where you're trying to legitimize a segregationist rapist. Maybe sell at a more convenient time. I don't know. At any other time. That's the worst possible time. It's just sad to see. It is sad to see because of how many people have been duped. That's the saddest part. I could care less about his legacy. He's just another politician at this point. But it's sad to see the energy that he stole from this movement. And then because of that, the cynicism that has come from it. Because now people just don't trust anybody, which in my humble opinion was ultimately the goal of propping Bernie up, especially in the 2019 election, because I felt it was weird that he decided to run instead of just backing Tulsi. Because if he didn't run, how many people began attacking Tulsi merely because she ran against Bernie? But she announced first and had made it clear she was going to run earlier. It almost seems like his goal was to undermine the progressives, because when the neoliberals united, when it was time for Bernie to say, okay, now it's time for us to do the same thing, what did he do? He shunned them. So what we're seeing right now, even like I said, from the budget committee, this is what he was put on the budget committee for. I told y'all this when it happened. They were like, why are you being so pessimistic? I'm not being pessimistic, bro. I'm just real. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not stupid. I see patterns. Everybody can see it. If he got elected to the budget committee, it's because he's part of the game now. He's one of the players. He is not for you. It is time to accept it. Stop putting your faith in these politicians. The ones who are great and altruistic, or at least good, they leave or they get shunned out. You can look at Cynthia McKinney or Tulsi Gabbard or even Justin Amash, Kasich, Gravel. We see how great politicians are treated. While Bernie is getting CNN interviews with Mr. Anderson, I worked for the CIA when I was in college, Cooper. Okay? So what's also wild about this is that we know for a fact the $15 per hour minimum wage thing was largely something that Bernie had a large responsibility in popularizing. Thank you very much for the super ray, by the way. Thank you very much. So for you to have that, you were the one who was kind of cultivating this movement. Then as a Democratic, as a part of the Democratic leadership of one of the most important committees, you let them shut it down in your face. You vote for the bill anyway instead of standing your damn ground. And then go on here on CNN and not even mention that part. Why? You don't want people to organize? Okay, you could literally just say, hey, look, this is what the deal was. Yeah, this stuff got put in here, but we're still missing minimum wage. In fact, I feel like this means tested nonsense is actually keep it real. But they gave me this leadership position, so I was shut up. So that's what I'm going to do. Bernie is good, people. Bernie is fine. And like I said, time and time again, if Bernie or his family didn't have health care, would he have quit that race? Would he have quit the race and let one of the worst neocons who have ever lived be anointed as president? Despite the fact that every criticism that he had of Donald Trump could be applied just as equally, if not more so, now that we're finding this out, we're learning right now, people, this administration has been worse than Donald Trump. I don't know if y'all have caught on to that yet. Have y'all realized that? Trump tried to get more money and they attacked him at every turn, Republicans and Democrats alike. Trump put out an affirmative action, put out affirmative action, executive order to extend, the moratoriums on homes and mortgages, et cetera. And in Democratic states like New York, even here in Florida, they were putting people out anyway. But the difference is in New York, you got people like AOC and Cuomo who are allowing these evictions to happen illegally anyway. People are getting evicted right now. You hear anything about a moratorium on evictions? Do you hear anything about a moratorium on evictions? Question for my people who are in an unfortunate scenario where your home is taken, your mortgage is defaulted. You're getting evicted as we speak. I know some people like that. Are you? Hold up. Has y'all's eventually did something happen that I missed? Cause I know I was on vacation. Did something happen that I missed where all of a sudden all of your evictions were wiped out? Did your court cases get dropped? As cool as it is that some people are going to get $1,400, but like what's crazy is like I feel like the people who are going to get it where it could be a boost, like a boost rather than just trying to catch up, they kind of didn't need the money. I won't say they didn't need it because I don't know everybody's family, but what I'm saying is the ones who actually need it aren't going to get it because it's this weird tier of when you are poor or like medium poor. I would say poverty, like right above the poverty line. You kind of get screwed because like whatever you're doing, like 30 different things to keep the bills paid and the roof over your head. When you are a little bit above upper middle class, that is the worst position to be in right now because you don't qualify for any of this anyway, but you probably lost your job because, when you in middle management, a lot of the times you're the most expendable. So like those type of jobs, those people were losing their jobs first and they weren't making the money back in unemployment. So there is a year of what they refer to as Trump's, economic failures, which is what I would say that's not true. Oh, it's not just Trump's. It's all y'all's failures. So every bad thing that happened under that administration in that year, they could have fixed and addressed during this bill where they have the Senate, they have the House, they have the executive branch, and everybody in the world watching them. And they are so confident that people will not organize. They just pointed at you and laughed and was like, yeah, but here you go. $2,000. So $1,400 checks that everybody ain't getting. I know that the $300 is supposedly going as a tax credit. So like, yeah, I guess. And the only reason they're giving it as a tax credit is to make sure that you file your taxes so that they can get the money from the unemployment they just gave you. That's why they're doing that, because they want to make sure that they get that money back. Because how else are they going to give blank checks to corporations? It's just the audacity of hope, bro.